GoogleAdsStrategy.com.
Hello and welcome to the Google Ads Strategy Show, where I answer your questions about Google Ads. I'm your host, Kyle Sullerud, and today I'll be answering the question, which conversion attribution model should I use? So when you're setting up a conversion action, you are faced with the choice of which attribution model to use. The conversion action, of course, is going to measure a particular action that somebody took on your website after clicking on your ad. Maybe they buy something, or maybe they call you or fill out a form on your website. Those are all different types of conversions. The attribution model is going to tell Google how you want to keep track of those conversions. And I'm going to get into all of these and what that actually means. In short, it means that if somebody clicked on more than one of your ads, you need to tell Google which of those clicks should get credit for the conversion. And there's different options for specific clicks or different weighted options where certain clicks get more credit for each conversion. But essentially, the attribution tells Google how to give credit for those clicks. And first, let me say that Google is going to take credit for every click. So if you originally generated a customer or a click from Facebook, let's say, and then later on they click on one of your Google ads, Google doesn't care about Facebook or any other time that customer has been to your website. Google is going to take credit for that click no matter what. Okay, so this only applies to the clicks that come from Google Ads. Now, there's one attribution model that I normally use, and I'll tell you what that is. But I am going to talk about all of the attribution models. I'm not saying you have to use the one I use, but you should be familiar with how each of these models works. So whichever model you're using, you know then how it's going to impact your campaigns. I'll actually start with the model that I use so you can see my thinking behind it and why I use it, and then I'll go through the other options. So the model I normally use is first click. And what this does is it gives all the credit for the conversion to the very first click. So the user comes to your website the first time, maybe they don't buy or they don't become a lead right away. Later on, they click another one of your ads and end up buying. Well, in this case, only the first click is going to get credit for that sale. The reason I use this is because when I'm optimizing campaigns, I'm most concerned with that first click, with that initial campaign that's targeting the cold traffic that's coming to a website. Yes, I'll also be running other campaigns, retargeting campaigns, but I know those are going to be working. I know for sure that retargeting campaigns are worthwhile. I don't really need to see conversions in those campaigns to know that they're working. What's more important for me as a campaign manager is to know where that cold traffic is coming from and how well that cold traffic is converting, so I can optimize the campaign to get more cold traffic, because that's what moves the needle forward more than anything, is being able to get more cold traffic in through a campaign into a website that is eventually going to become a customer. So by selecting first click, now I'm optimizing only for cold traffic. With that in mind, then I need to understand that if I'm running remarketing campaigns, that I'm not really going to be seeing conversions in those campaigns. There will be some, because if people came from other traffic sources and then I'm remarketing to them on Google Ads, perhaps the first click in Google Ads is in a remarketing campaign. But if their first click in Google Ads was to a cold traffic campaign, that's where the conversion is going to show up. It won't be in my remarketing campaign. So the results in the remarketing campaign will be skewed. And I just need to keep that in mind. I'm fine with that. I've found that it's more important to be able to optimize for that first click, that cold traffic coming in. So that's why I use first click. And you may have just as good of a reason for using one of these other models. Let me just go through them. So another option is last click. In this case, all of the conversion is going to be credited to the last click that happened immediately before the customer became a conversion. There won't be any conversions showing up in the first click. And this all, by the way, only matters if there were multiple clicks. Most of the time, that's not the case. Usually, there's only one click, and then either the customer becomes a customer at that point or they don't. But it's just one click. So you'll actually find if you're using different models, there's not going to be a lot of variation in your actual results, okay? Because most of the time it's just one click that leads to the sale. But back to last click. So if there are more than one click, then it's the last click that is going to get credit. There's also linear. Linear is going to evenly distribute the conversion across multiple clicks. So this is where we start to see decimal places for conversion. So if there's one conversion and there were 2 clicks, each of those is going to count for a 0.5 of a conversion. They're each going to be half of a conversion because it's linear. If there were 4 clicks that happened before a conversion, each of them are going to be 0.25 conversions with this linear model. We also have time decay. In this model, the clicks that happened closest in time to the conversion are going to get more weight. And there is a formula that they use for this, but all you really need to know is that the very first clicks are going to get very minimal weight in that conversion. The last click or the last couple clicks that happened before the conversion actually happened, those are going to get weighted more heavily. So you might see a 0.2 conversion on one click and a 0.8 conversions on another click, for example. Then we have position-based. Position-based gives 40% credit to the first click and the last click, and then the remaining 20% is distributed across all the other clicks in the path. So if you had 3 clicks, the first one is 0.4, the last one is 0.4, the middle one is 0.2. Or if you had 4 clicks, you still have the first one at 0.4, the last one at 0.4, but then the middle 2 clicks are each going to be 0.1. That's position-based. And then finally, there is data-driven. This is an option that's not available to everybody. There has to be a good amount of data in your account for Google to open this one up to you. And what this is basically doing is using Google's artificial intelligence to give credit to the click that Google feels deserves most of the credit. It seems kind of out there. I've never actually used this because we're relying now on Google's system to know which click should, basically which click contributed more to the sale. Not too helpful in my opinion. I would use any of the other ones instead of data-driven because there's no real way to know how accurate this is. You're going to see certain clicks being weighted with different numbers, different weights, but you don't really know why a certain click was weighted over another one. You're just trusting that Google's system weighted them appropriately. Not really my idea of a good way to optimize a campaign. I at least want to know how these clicks are being weighted so I can then optimize the campaign accordingly. So again, the attribution model that I am almost always using is first click, and that's so I can optimize more heavily for cold traffic. You can use any of these that you want to. Just know that it's important to know how it works. Why are certain clicks getting certain conversions attributed to them? As long as you know how that works, that's the most important thing. So pick the model that you think is going to be most helpful for you. And that's what I have for today's episode of the Google Ads Strategy Show. Again, my name is Kyle Sullerud, and I will talk to you later.